Welcome to Avenida Houston and Jason Bristol, Jeremy Booth, former Major League scout, and our KHO 11 baseball analyst, and Zack Tawatari here to talk Astros baseball and this 3-1 loss in Game 1 of the wild card. Jeremy is shaking his head. Listen, you were facing one of the best pitchers in baseball today in Tarik Skubal. It was going to be tough sledding either way, but I know you have a big issue with how this lineup was put out there. And what's interesting is they originally had Yordan Alvarez batting second, and then they flipped and put Kyle Tucker in the 2-hole and moved Yordan to 3. Do you want me to? Oh, Jeremy, here we go.
They're wrong twice. I mean, it's a 3-1 loss. Let's run down the list. I'll abbreviate what you just said. One of the best pitchers in baseball. Let's add postseason game. Mm-hmm. Let's add a hampered Alvarez to that scenario, right? Yeah. Physically. Let's add we're going to have a tough time scoring runs in this ballpark. We're 0-5, right? Was it 0-5 coming into today?
0-5.
0-5. Yeah. You have a lot of reasons right there why you just don't mess around. Now, I said on April 1st, and guys, I'm going to say this for all the people at home. I said this to Zach and Jason earlier. I cannot stand in every fiber of my core throwing away baseball games. I don't care if I'm coaching, I don't care if I'm playing, I don't care if I'm scouting, I don't care if I'm watching. It's something that irks me. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about, what we saw after the game with the questions that were there.
Okay, now I have to interject. Sorry, Zach.
No, please.
I asked Joe Espada. Joe, I think the early lineup had Yordan batting second. I was wondering why the change. Joe Espada says, yeah, good question. My thought process behind that is having Yordan more in the middle of our order probably allow him to kind of save him from running a ton. If he hits behind Altuve, he gets on now. There's Tucker, here comes Breggy, here comes Diaz. I feel like there'd be more opportunities for him to run the bases and be forced to run the bases. You put him in the middle, he's got Altuve, he's got Tucker in there. Now he's in a position of driving runs, kind of sitting in the middle of the bus rather than driving the bus, trying to protect him around running the bases. Now, and for those of you watching, please give us your comments. I'm on Facebook right now, so our KHO 11 Facebook page. Let us know what you're thinking. Richard already says, yes, correct. All right.
Can I go back? I want to get in there.
But hold on one second.
Because I'm fired up, man.
Because I looked up before the game, which is something you and I have talked about a lot, is that what is the Astros record when Alex Bregman was batting second? Because when Alex Bregman was batting second, they went on that tear when Kyle Tucker was out. And I looked it up. They were 66 games that Alex Bregman batted second. They were 42-24 in those games. 42-24. When Kyle Tucker bats second, 16-13. Yordan Alvarez,
it doesn't matter. It's all right. You got
Yordan Alvarez, 24-30 when he's batting second. So then I said Alex was successful batting second this season. Would you have any possibility or idea of moving him back in there? I think you were 42-24 in the 66 games he batted second. Right. And then it goes, to answer your question, no. Kind of like those guys hitting there in 2 and 3, meaning Yordan and Tucker, and he flips them. And having Breggy, who has delivered some big RBIs for us, hitting behind those two guys.
Okay, so my first question is, just based on his comments, I'm going to back up, because I was standing there with you, okay? And I'm going to tell you that Joe cut, that was really a two-part question, and Joe cut Jason off halfway through. He may not say that. I can say that. I saw it happen, and he cut him off, and he was nervous, and he didn't like the question. Right?
I don't know about that.
It's my opinion.
Okay.
I watched it. I've been in a lot of those press conferences, working for a club. I've understood what that means when it comes to that, and he just did not like the question. Now, in interview 101, if you remember, when you and I first started this, it was very difficult to get me to actually talk. It was difficult. I know that surprises all of you at home. Trust me, it was difficult to bring it to get me to say more than just the cliche. To say more than just the, have confidence in those guys. Yeah, he threw well. They played hard. You got to give them credit. Does that sound familiar? I mean, it's textbook. And most times I don't even go into the clubhouse. I know what they're going to say. Hey, Alex, how do you feel? like you're struggling a little bit. Well, offensively, yeah, bat speed's a little bit slow, but I'll get in the cage tomorrow and you find my legs underneath me and my rhythm, and I'll be fine. I don't need to listen to that. It's exactly what they're going to tell you. They're not going to tell you what's really going on, and they shouldn't. That's their livelihood. They're not going to give you an advantage. So when you listen to Joe Espada, Joe's not going to turn around and go, yeah, you know what, man? All these analytics that we run with, man, wow, the analytic that tells me how I'm going to win, I'm just kind of ignoring that one. On April 1st, this crew right here, and with Matt, I believe, right? Did a segment, and we talked about the lineup. And you asked me the question. Do you remember the question? Because I remember the question. Do you remember the question? Because I remember the question. You said, Jeremy, how long should they go with this lineup right now? I said they should toss it away 2 days ago, right? It was after the game 1.
Of the season, not the postseason.
Season. And I said, a week later on Sports Extra, I said, you want to win games, or do you want to just say you were right and hit somebody second? And so now you go into his comments here. By the way, you're in the postseason, people. City of Houston is ready. Used to. The expectations have changed. It's a winning town. It's a situation here where people lose their minds, quite literally, if something doesn't go their way on X or Facebook or social media. And this expectation is to win. We have said as a group, this club is still a championship team. Some of the decisions that were vilified that Dana Brown and his front office made, Kikuchi, or even Jason Hayward, working out okay. And while you're looking at the holy grail of general managers way off in the distance somewhere, and you're looking at this over-analyzed situation, paralysis by analysis comes to mind. The one you're ignoring is what's helping you win. Now
helped you win.
Yeah, you don't get to
October
how about next week or 2 days from now by messing around and seeing what's going to happen. You don't get to do that. And now you're in a situation where just by Joe's own answers, with all respect that I can possibly give, because I cannot stand throwing away baseball games. I can't stand it. When I see the flip that came, Jordan batting second, I wonder why the change. Jason, you read it. He said, less running for Jordan. Let's go ahead and let him drive in runners. And then when you asked why we're winning, we being as a general statement, because I don't play for him or work for him, but why the Astros are winning 42-24, it's about 66%. Is that good? 66% of their games with a guy that has traditionally produced in that spot. World Series champion, ALCS, knows what he's doing, instead of moving guys who've never really hit there in their life into that position. Why you would ignore that rhythm? The answer is, well, I just kind of feel like I like it. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. Do you like winning?
Who doesn't like winning?
I mean, do you like winning? The rest of the league says thank you for hitting him second.
We actually heard someone from another team say, we'll take those guys batting second because that's a solo home run instead of a 2 or 3 run bomb.
I don't get it. I don't get it under any circumstances, and I hear Joe's answers, and they don't go together. One side, and I look, when I see him tomorrow, he'll look at me sideways. One side of this over here says, Jordan has to hit down the lineup because I want less stress on his legs, I want him driving in runs. Yet the other side, on this side, says I want Bregman hitting behind him because I want Bregman driving in runs. But one guy's legs work and the other guy's don't. It's kind of like running him out there playing left field every day. Bad idea. Told you.
Well, he wants to.
It doesn't matter. I'd like to do a lot of things in life that aren't going to happen. And playing left field is not something Jordan Alvarez should ever be able to do. Now, that said, you are now down 1-0. I get Scooble's an ace. I get it. He is dirty. He is dominant. We talked about that. You have 3 games to play. And let's be clear. We said they didn't want the Tigers because Tigers were hot, didn't understand the situation. Now you've got a chance where this might be it. And by the way, the team that's got the bye, the Guardians, we're really good on unwind this tonight because I'm fired up. When the Guardians, you just handled them. You just handled them in their yard. But you may not get there. And if you hadn't hit Alvarez or Tucker second, the rest of the way to start the year, you'd win 10 more games, and then you'd be sitting at home right now, resting guys like Jordan and resting guys like Verlander with a chance to get to the next round instead of having to take him off the roster, and a whole lot of other things that go from losing games just so you can be right. Okay, I yield my time to the floor.
Well, Zach hasn't said a word yet, so.
I mean, let's talk about the context of how much 40 games matters in a season. 40 wins matters in a season. We all know that statistic. The Astros, since April 27th, have gone, what was it?
79 and 53.
79 and 53. That's more than half of the games potentially responsible for that turnaround, right?
That's
Good
right.
point. I didn't even think of that.
That's right.
That's a lot of games.
That's right.
That's a lot of wins. And I would argue that keeping Alex Bregman comfortable in the lineup, one of the top 3 most important things you can do with this lineup, because in my opinion, he's the catalyst of this lineup. Jose Altuve may be the guy who sets the table, but Alex Bregman is the catalyst of this lineup, and not enough can be said about being comfortable where you are hitting. Not enough can be said. It's just like playing out of position
But
to a
analytics,
degree.
but that's the thing. Analytics don't account for that.
Do they account for winning games?
Well, they do, but I'm just saying that's
Right.
why.
Right.
You know, when for months when Jeremy's been saying this, you know, everyone's like, oh, we can just move them here. They're, what do we call them? Video games. Video
it's
gamers. You just put a
unbelievable.
player here and put a player here, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Preparation. Zach played college baseball. He knows.
I have this thing with stats, analytics. Look, there's a name for everything now. There's a name for everything, and Jeremy, you can attest to this. Spin rate, like you could, you know, people used to say, oh, that guy has a good off-speed pitch. It has another gear. There's just different ways of categorizing things now, but it's not always the same as passing the eye test. The eye test is still, and momentum and chemistry are still the most important things in baseball.
You know,
Let me just get some people watching involved here. Richard says we need them to hit runs. Cougar Tino says we lost game 1, so far the visitors are winning elsewhere. Let's move on and win the series. Astros need to play aggressive tomorrow, try to steal bases more, apply pressure on the pitcher, and hope the Tigers make a lot of errors.
Listen, not any game, I don't care if it's tomorrow or yesterday, is the same as the one that happened today. It's just not. There's in any given situation or any given night, one pitch, every pitch is different than the one before. You can't equate the two. I saw Kansas City beat Baltimore, right? Kansas City beat Baltimore 1-0. I saw that, but it doesn't mean that just because that happened, that's okay that this happened. You have a chance to control your own destiny, and unless we're sitting in Baltimore, or unless, you know, the guys over there across the street at Minute Maid Park are actually wearing Orioles uniforms in disguise, it doesn't matter what Baltimore does, right? They have to focus on themselves. And for me, and I say for me because I am only talking about me, when you throw away baseball games and you say, just because I feel like it, either you're lying because you're covering from somebody, or you just don't understand what you're doing. Because no matter how many analytics you got, the only one that matters is the one that's the W that puts you in the World Series, okay, to win a championship and hoist the trophy and go down Texas Avenue and everybody's lovely. Until then, you're being obtuse because you're not listening to what's going on around you. You didn't just displace one guy, you displaced 3. And who knows what else happens after that, right? You know, people are going to talk about Jeremy Pena bunting. I heard some questions about that.
Yeah.
I got asked privately on the side, what else are you doing in that situation, man? He swung and missed 3 times today. 3 times. He's got 3 punchies.
Yeah.
Okay? You think he's feeling good against their staff, who came out absolutely bringing the noise, by the way. Their guy in the 8th and 9th inning was like whack 98, whack 100, whack 82, whack 97.
Dotted, too.
And we're sitting underneath and we're calling every pitch, right? Change up here, double up, triple up fastball, because the game you understand how to do all that with the game. That's just the way it is. If that can be done, then understanding why you have Altuve, who's a free swinger, Hosey hitting 1, while you've got Bregman, who's more of a patient guy who does not miss fastballs, by the way, that knows how to work counts and get his 3 and 4 hitters to see what's behind him, how they're going to throw him on any given night, because they're not the same guy every time.
how much do you want to throw Alex Bregman fastballs if you have Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker behind him?
All the time. And no offense to Alex, but because I'm a big Alex believer. At one time, I was a very big Alex critic, and never had anything to do with how he played or his ability. Everything to do with maybe growing up. And that this man, it's not this kid, this man who I've watched play since he was 14 years old, came in here, grew up overnight, seemingly, and took a humongous role in this ball club that, should he not be here next year, is a gaping hole. There's just no way around that. It is a gaping hole.
Tremendous.
In the heartbeat of the team, in the city itself, in the flow of the lineup. That you can't replace that guy. You just can't do it. And when it comes to what you've got right now, this might be the last time you have these guys together. Now, look, the city survived it before. They talked about Correa. Nothing against Mr. Correa, who I scouted as well as an amateur. I would take Bregman all day, every day over Carlos Correa. I just would. I would have then, and I will now. And most people will tell you that they would have done the same. In the draft that Correa went 1-1, it was a very good draft behind him. Bregman's just a better player.
And he stays on the field.
He stays on the field.
That's a big, big thing.
Under all circumstances. Now back to what we're saying. Why do you not protect him in this ballpark with Alvarez and Tucker, who are good in any ballpark? Tucker's used to hitting 5th or 4th. Alvarez can hit 3rd. He's just hitting 3 and 4. Like, you don't have to hit these guys 2nd, and we're doing it just because we feel like it. You have to miss me with that, because right now you're going to hit a situation where the city of Houston's going to go, oh yeah, you know what? Hey, we lost, right? This team, because you know what? This run isn't over, by the way. I want to make sure I say that too. This run isn't over. What do you think everybody's going to say if they lose? Oh, it's over. They're old. You got pitching that somehow once again has saved this organization by how they've reinvented themselves and what they've done. And you have an aging lineup. Was no way around that. An aging lineup with some young stars in there who can come along at the right time and still be good for another 5 years. And you want to mess that up by hitting somebody 2nd? I got real issues with that.
Also worth noting that basically all of Houston was screaming at you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot that.
Yordan, you want your best player hitting 2nd. You want your best hitter hitting 2nd. Well, they've started out this season 7-17. I looked all this up because Jeremy and I have been talking for a while, probably the last month or two, about what was the Astros record with Alex Bregman batting 2nd. And today I finally took the time to go look it up. And I called him and I was like, you're not going to believe this. But you could believe it because he was co-player of the week, Alex Bregman. Let's move on now. Looking ahead, as we only have a few more minutes, Hunter Brown is your Game 2 starter. Hunter Brown, when asked, Joe Espada said, listen, we've known that Hunter Brown is our guy. He's been one of the best in baseball. Either of you have a problem with that? Zach, do you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with it, although I do think that going with Kikuchi in that situation tomorrow would have been my choice. But I think it's kind of like 1A, 1B in this situation. But I do feel that given Kikuchi's temperament, it seems like having somebody a little more level might be good going into a game, an elimination game, where you are down and not tied, I should say.
If they get by tomorrow, Kikuchi's got the ball Thursday, right? Okay, so he's going to have to throw one way or the other. It's either Game 2 to stave off elimination or to win the series, right? To move to the next round. How they played this series dictated what happened with Verlander the next round, should they get there, by the way. Because now you might need the extra help. You burned Blanco today, right?
Yeah.
Who else? You burned Valdez today. You burned
Neris, King pitched a little bit.
And Hader.
A little bit.
What's Hader doing with the ball? Can somebody help me with that one? Okay. If that's how you feel, then
I think they felt that with that getting into that Tigers bullpen, that they could score runs. But as we've seen throughout the season, Josh Hader
not a favorable situation.
Yeah, he does for
him.
some reason, whatever it is,
not.
when he's not leading a game or it's tied.
AJ Hinch, let's not forget, until he was fired in, what was that, February 2020?
Yep, January of 2020.
Most of this team, not all of it, most of this team was either in the organization or here. Anybody forget that? He's just not. You think he doesn't know what these guys can do? He helped bring Bregman to the big leagues. Yordan was already here by then. Tucker just got here. right? Hunter Brown, maybe not. Javier was in the organization.
Fromber.
Verlander. The only one I can think of is probably Diaz, right? Diaz and Caratini, the pieces that have come since, you know.
Yeah.
But for the core there, Altuve was here when I was scouting and saw him in AA. So he knows what he's got on the other side. Like, it's not like this is brand new. Chas McCormick was here.
In the system.
But he knows who he had, and you're running guys out against him, offensively and defensively. That he understands how to use his personnel. It's one thing I'll give AJ, who has been a very interesting cat in the amount of time we're about the same age, in the amount of time that we have crossed paths and the not. AJ is resourceful. AJ understands his clubhouse. He understands what it means to be a player because he was one. He understands what it means to be a very high draft pick when guys come in the organization. He understands what it means to be an Olympian for those guys that do that. AJ
he knows what it's like to be, I don't know, did you mention executive?
Front office executive. He knows what it's like to be a pro scouting coordinator. I mean, he's got so much in his background of baseball that, questioning the guy's knowledge. Now, you might question a few other things with him, which are personal. But when it comes to questioning the guy's knowledge and what he's got and how he sees the game, I give this guy a lot more credit now than I did before. But again, I had too much of this with him, too much of that. And now I watch him and I remember how he stood up to the guys that told him how to run his clubhouse. And I watch him in a very analytical situation in Detroit. Don't kid yourself. With Scott Harris and those guys, that is a very analytical situation. And he's over there using that, applying it, and he's got a team that nobody knows. Matter of fact, the joke was they were the Salt Lake City Buzz. You guys know where that's from? It's Major League 3, okay? And we're talking about them, and they're in here, and they're about to put this veteran world championship team out of business because we're busy talking about what feels good instead of how to win games. So for me, that is a very difficult situation because the passion, when you love this game, and certainly for the fans, and look, I take a lot of stuff because I disagree with some of the decisions that are made because if you're sticking to process and your process doesn't yield wins or positive results, you need a new process. Just the way it works. My own stuff, my own life. That's a universal rule. You need a new process. And if you're whatever you are, 7-17, 16-41, whatever you are with Alvarez hitting second, you're the other way with Bregman in the 2 spot. To not do that is myopic, and it's very frustrating to watch it happen with a club that could win a World Series again and help, especially with all the parity in the game today. And gave away 10 to 12 games in the season where they'd be sitting at home right now chilling, and they need to do it, and they're not doing that. They're on the field trying to fight for their lives.
Also on Wednesday, the Tigers will throw Tyler Horton, an opener, who pitched in this game. Tyler Horton.
I'm sorry, didn't we talk about coming out swinging, punching these guys in the mouth, shortening the game? Somebody gets in trouble, they're out. Didn't I say that before?
You did.
And I believe that you said if you say they're going to do that, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
How'd that work out? I'll leave it there.
Yeah. For much more baseball content, Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. And we liked having Zach on here. I know. I'm sorry, Zach, that you didn't get to talk for the first 9 minutes.
I enjoyed it.
I
enjoyed listening.
Man. I was so fired up, I was distracted in some other stuff. I was like,
well, we were trying to do some stuff for the news, and Jeremy was just so distracted by all this that he's like, I can't get past this lineup. I can't get past this lineup.
I hate giving away baseball games, man. I hate it, and I hate it for the fans because the fans, if this team loses, if they lose, we get to go home. And in February, we're going to show up again, and we're going to talk baseball again, right? And there's stuff we'll do throughout the offseason. We're not invested in it. We're just telling you what it is. But we do cover this team, and we do have some passion for it, especially when we get stopped around the stadium, and people ask questions, and they say, hey, what's up? How's it going? Hey, good to see you, or whatever's going on, and they want to talk. This city,
or they want to debate.
Or they want to
debate you.
It's happened, and the city cares about the team. So when I see people just throwing that away, whether they're doing it intentionally or not, it drives me nuts, man. Drives me nuts.
All right, it will be a lefty for the Tigers.
It worked today.
It did. So who will bat second tomorrow, Jeremy?
Kyle Tucker.
Yep. Right, Zach?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna keep I said this to in my back pocket.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that there is somebody very instrumental, legendary, if you will.
Yeah.
Who is aware of the statistics of what the club does when certain people hit certain spots. Now, what happens from there, we're going to stop. But they're aware.
All right. All right, everybody. For Zack Tawatari, former Major League Scout Jeremy Booth, I'm Jason Bristol. As always, we appreciate you watching wherever you're watching. Your final score again from Minute Maid: Detroit Tigers 3, Houston Astros 1 in Game 1 of the American League Wild Card Series, with Game 2 on Wednesday.